Good day, fellow rockers and moshers. Welcome to the Metal Connection, the connection to all things metal. I'm J-Dub, and today on the show, we're doing our top 10 favorite Gravedigger albums. Ooh, yeah. And as you can see, we got some guests on the show, and we'll do some brief hello introductions. So below me from Thrasher Be Thrash channel, we got Frederick. So Frederick, if you want to say hello.
Greetings, fellow thrashers. My name is Frederick. Yes, and I have a channel here on YouTube called Thrash or Be Thrashed. I deal in a lot of the thrash metal bands from the 80s, 90s, and today, and and it's some other music. Great to be on the channel, and hopefully you'll enjoy our top 10 albums from Gravedigger.
And we got some guy in the hat here. If he wants to introduce himself here.
Howdy, partners. My name is David Biggs, and I don't have a YouTube channel. Maybe at some point I will if I get some time. But I am still your rock and roll big dog, and we're gonna discuss some really great heavy metal, power metal. I think it's more along the lines of power metal, right? Gravedigger.
Well, that's I was going to say, actually, I was actually going to start off with the show with kind of popping you guys the question with if somebody never heard Gravedigger and they were pretty familiar with most like metal genres, and they asked what does Gravedigger sound like what genre are they? What would you tell them? How would you describe them?
So, okay. I would describe Gravedigger. Like the early stuff was, well, even today I'd call it speed metal. Speed metal with the hint of power metal, and there's elements of thrash in there as well, and traditional metal. So they're a band that is very hard to really categorize. In my book, because they mix up their sound all the time. That they have really fast, really brutal speed metal tracks, and there's the fist pounding, power metal anthems. So yeah, for me, I would call them, speed metal.
Yeah,
I would classify them, as power metal, and the reason why I say that is because I think what Gravedigger did, especially early on in the 80s, is they followed the blueprint that Accept had, which was, you've got a big, it's guitar riff band, big heavy rhythms, but they had, these sing-along choruses, that were very memorable. There were the hooks, and that's very characteristic of power metal. And then especially in the, the late 80s or the early 90s, when they reformed and they became a little bit heavier, they had the epic, concept albums, and that's very, part and parcel of power metal, is to have these big concept albums, and that's what Gravedigger has done. And I think they actually had a lot of concept albums, especially, up until now. They're still releasing albums now, so I would say power metal, but definitely there was an elements of thrash in there, and definitely I would say speed metal early on, but power metal.
Yeah, like I would think I would say Gravedigger are like Running Wild. Yeah, same formula as Running Wild, with their speed metal, power metal. Yeah, so yeah, because they are a band hard to really put, because everybody's got their opinion of what style of metal they play. So everybody's got their own pick of what style they are. So it's good. It's cool.
Because I don't think they would be thrash, because they don't have those. Thrash albums to me are like a lot of repeating rhythms over and over again.
Yeah, not pure thrash, but
not
there
pure thrash. No,
you can hear the elements in there.
It's like Creator, like they don't have that Creator sound where they're just galloping on the E all the time, and just a lot of single notey. A lot of thrash bands are like a lot of single notey riffs, like Exodus and stuff. These aren't single notey riffs for the most part. These are big, meaty power chords with a lot of space in between. So
yeah. But I think if a young kid listens to it, they'll probably think, oh yeah, this is thrash. This is a different type of thrash metal. If you just heard one of their albums, like if you heard their new one, you're probably thinking, oh yeah, this is a bit thrashy, a bit speedy, So, but there is power metal there. They do have a lot of power metal.
Yeah, I think you guys definitely hit it, the nail on the head there between the both of you with, definitely mentioning, power and speed. I think it's definitely that perfect combination of that power and speed metal. And then, the traditional heavy metal, influences as well, right? Guitar solos and kind of killer, riffs and things like that. Although the riffs, as you guys were just having a brief discussion about the thrash metal thing is like the riffs, it's weird. They're more of like, a traditional speedy riff as opposed to like a thrashy riff. But, I'm sure they do have their thrash riffs here and there as well. So, they touch into many different genres, but I definitely think, for me, that power speed blend. But yeah, so cool. Let's get into our top 10. And yeah, we'll run with anyone following along at home or whatever, we'll run with we'll show our top, we have our top 10 each, and then we'll do it 3-3-3 and 1 format each go around. So we'll show 3-3-3 and then 1 in the last one. So maybe I'll just volunteer myself to go first. And so number 10, and I don't have too many surprises in this. It's going to be pretty straightforward, as Gravedigger, I feel like it's fairly straightforward. The only other thing that would probably get brought up at some point is, at some point the record label convinced them to change their name to Digger and try a different album under the name Digger, right? And the reason I'm talking about it, because that's actually my number 10, is
love that album.
Digger, Stronger Than Ever. And a lot of like Gravedigger hardcore fans like us, us or whatever people watching, that they actually pretty much denounce this album. They don't even pretend like it doesn't even exist. They want it to not ever exist. They think it's trash. They think it's bad. I'm like in the Gravedigger Facebook groups and things like that, and I post this or post a song from it, and people, gag, like going, gross, sucks. And I'm thinking, oh, it's cool, but I actually do generally think this album's really cool. Maybe because, I've got a copy I put on my phone, so I've been able to play it at work throughout the years, right? And I don't know, just the songs have really hit home with me. They've become memorable, and I love singing along with them. They're all these anthems, and again, Gravedigger did switch up their sound in this album, where they went, I'm not going to say glammy, no, but it's definitely not the normal Gravedigger speedy, aggressive kind of going into these darker undertones. Gravedigger kind of goes into these kind of, hell and kind of grave type tones, right? Any kind of, scythes and, that kind of stuff, right? But anyway, in this one, they kind of switched it up a little bit, but I have a ton of standout tracks from this album, like Stand Up and Rock, Want to Get Close, Don't Leave Me Lonely, Stronger Than Ever, Stay Till the Morning, Listen to the Music. So yeah, I really do love this album, and that's going to be my only surprise, because Gravedigger fans in general do disregard this album. They don't like it, but I find it really catchy and very memorable. And I don't have a problem with the 80s glam scene. So if there is some of that influence going on here, I don't have a problem with it, because I like some of that stuff. So,
to me, I have not heard that album, but I have heard people really dispute it as being their weakest album. But like a song like Stronger Than Ever, you would think that'll be one of their sort of heavier tracks, very much like Cold Lake from Celtic Frost. They had a couple of songs on their album which were kind of still heavy, but still a bit glammy.
It's definitely polarizing. It's Gravedigger's polarizing album, just like Celtic Frost's Cold Lake.
Cold Lake, yeah. I did love the cover art. The cover art is kind of it's cheesy, but it is kind of funny.
Yeah, it's weird to me. It looks like a robot duck.
Yeah, have you heard that band Metal Duck? That band Metal Duck from the UK. They were a crossover thrash band.
No, metal duck. But
No,
yeah, it's like a
fuzzy
Terminator.
duck.
It's like the Terminator.
That's sort of the cover art you'd find on a band called Metal Duck. You know,
It's like if the Terminator was a duck, it's like the Terminator duck. But
yeah,
Robo duck.
yeah, am I dead set on this being my 10th favorite Gravedigger? No, for a little bit of good fun. I jumped it up a couple spots, sure, for fun, but in general, I do really love this album. And like as I'm looking at the back, I'm like, when I look at the tracks, Stand Up and Rock, Want to Get Close, Don't Leave Me Lonely, Stay Till the Morning, Moon Riders. Like when I just reading those, I hear all the choruses in my head, so that's a sticking thing, right? They were in your head, they've stuck in your head. So yeah, it's definitely up there for me. So that's going to be my only kind of goof for my Gravedigger ranking. It's not a goof because I think it's a good album. Oh, and then yeah, I forgot we're doing 3. Yeah, I forgot about that. Just instead of doing these big long-winded ones at a time. But number 9, even right now, I could just switch it up right now. I'm gonna stick in 1993's The Reaper.
That's too low. That's too low.
I knew it. I knew that for you, but I didn't want to I can't read your mind. I don't actually know, but if I had to guess, I was thinking if I had to guess, you would have it higher than me personally. Yeah, stop. I don't want that stop sticker on the front of mine. Yeah, 1993, The Reaper. I initially pulled out a 10 and kind of worked through my 10 to make sure, finalize my 10. And initially I didn't have the Reaper in my 10, but as I did kind of reevaluate it, I did find it into my 10, and I actually think I ended up dropping out Witch Hunter actually, and the Reaper ended up finding its way in. So that just goes to show you what was really going on and how tight it was. But yeah, I think I pretty much tossed out the Witch Hunter in favor of this. So the Reaper just made her in there. Yeah, this is a pretty good, consistent, what you'd come to know of Gravedigger, because when they did switch from Digger, in 86 or 87, right? They had their little flubber, and I don't know, they had trouble maybe finding a record label or whatever, and then they finally found the record label, and they come back in 1993 out of nowhere, 6 years later, out of nowhere, here comes Gravedigger back, and they laid down one kick-ass heavy metal album, and it would be like an album where you could judge the rest of their career off this album. Like, okay, is it going to be better? Is it going to stand up to this album? Like, this is the album that's going to stand the test for Gravedigger. Like, are they going to remain this good? Are they going to get better? Like, this is the good standalone, essential, good, typical album. So that's where I am with that one. And finding its way into number 7. Yeah, number 7, we got The Living Dead. And I believe this is 2018. So we got The Living Dead, 2018. One of their fairly newer ones, 2018 here. Ton of great tracks. Fear of the Living Dead. When Death Passes By is great. Shadow of the Warrior is great. Power of Metal is great. War Left Behind is great. Fist in Your Face is great. Insane Pain is great. I literally love Insane Pain. Insane Pain. Insane Pain. And we got the goofy little zombie dance, kind of like a
polka.
Yeah, like a pirate polka thing, kind of like an Ailstorm type song, right?
There was a goof song.
Yeah, that's a kind of a polky, kind of piratey polky type song with a like a bagpipey type thing. But yeah, it's cool. And then there's on a lot of these later albums, there'd be bonus track editions. So there'd be bonus tracks in all these albums. But in this one, there's Glory or Grave, which is a pretty good one too. And I don't know, it's a good one too. So there we go. We got Digger, Stronger Than Ever, The Reaper, and The Living Dead. 10, 9, and 8. And we'll go to Frederick.
Okay, this is going to be very difficult because I love every album. To me, it's number one. But
I wouldn't go that far, but I do see what you're saying by like,
because it's every album is. But this is a top 10, but it's not my, sort of a top 10 really, but it is like a top 10.
That's sort of what I said. That's sort of what I said too. It's like stronger than ever. I'm like, is it really my number 10? It might be 10, it might be 11, 12, but I threw it in there because I'm such a fan of Gravedigger. I wanted to have fun with this. Like,
yeah,
I initially pulled out the 10, and I just want to have fun with it. I'm like, again, yeah, Gravedigger is so cool and so badass that in any given month, week, day, I could switch. I could be tossing. These could be all flip flop their 2021 studio albums. So anyway, sorry to keep going there. So yeah, Frederick, keep going there.
Okay. Well, my 10, but this is not an official 10, would be The Last Supper.
Ooh,
by Gravedigger.
Yeah. So
this is just this is a good album. This album can go in any sort of spot, but it's just it is a concept album. I think this is one of their early concept albums about religion.
Right. Yeah, I could definitely think that with that Jesus character on the front.
Yeah, you got like songs like Passion, you got Crucified, you got Soul Savior. They're all sort of like songs about religion in a way. And you got like your two bonus track, Jeepers Creepers, which is that song about the horror movie, Jeepers Creepers, Where Are My Weepers, sort of thing. This is it is a good album. I do love it. It can go in like in any spot, and it's a great little concept album. It's it has that sort of pounding power metal anthems. Grave, No Man's Land, Crucified, The Night Before, Black Widow. They're all great songs, and it's just like an album that needs to be listened to a lot, to get to really appreciate it for what it is, as a concept album about about Jesus. So yeah, this is my number 10.
Did you ever notice that one of the songs sounds like Enter Sandman, Grave in the No Man's Land?
Yes.
It's got the Enter Sandman riff in it. I'm like listening to it. And I'm like,
yeah, it's got that gallop. It sort of has that gallop.
It's got that dun, 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 dun. I'm like, what?
Okay.
Yeah, Desert Rose is a good one. Hell to Pay is good off that one, and The Night Before is good too.
It is a great album, and like I said, trying to pick 10 albums from their catalog, top 10, it's very hard. It is a very hard sort of thing. Like if you want to do all 20 of them, that'd be even harder.
I more or less thought it was really fun because I'm such a Gravedigger fan. I didn't really need to study. I don't need to write down notes or study or nothing. It's just like I was kind of fun. And I kind of knew my core top 5, and then the rest was kind of had to shake it out. But that was more or less fun. It's great. It's easy. Not easy, but
yeah. Okay, my number 9 would be
Excalibur.
The Gravedigger.
Oh, I thought that was Excalibur for a second.
No, this is the cover, but this is the inside cover. And this one.
I always thought that was 2 different covers because mine just looks black. I had the black one.
Yeah, this was the introduction of
many. The sealed ones. He could replace ours. I know yours is a little banged up, so he could replace ours. Cool.
Okay, this was the debut with Manny from Rage on guitar, where he came into the band. So he brought that more Rage sound in the guitar work
Yeah.
on the album, which was, even though Rage was very much a early speed metal band, when they sort of went like power metal. But yeah, this is Manny's first stint with Rage, because they've had like a lot of guitar players come in, like a roller door.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is another great album. Some really great tracks on here, like Son of Evil.
Yeah, that's good one.
King Pest, great song. Funeral Procession is another great song.
That's a good one too. That's a ripper.
Yeah, they're just great, songwriters. They do. Chris that does some great songs. And Gravedigger are one of those bands that do some really great songs. You can't fault them.
The production on this is just ultra heavy, top tier, top notch.
Yeah, and I think this was their I think their first Nuclear Blast release as well.
Oh, right.
Well, they got signed to Nuclear Blast. They so, and this is also a bonus track called Black Cat. So yeah, this is a great out. Just a great heavy metal, speed metal, power metal record. So that's my number 9. Number 10. Oh, damn. I would say my last one for this round would be Ballads of a Hangman.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I don't like that one.
No, I like this one as well. This one, I love the cover art. Their artwork has always been great.
This is one of the cooler frontworks actually covers.
I got another one that's even cooler. So
yeah.
This was sort of the same sound as their previous albums. They do have a really ballad. I think the last song on the album, Prayer, which is very much a ballad. It has guest vocals from a female singer, which I can't remember her name at the moment.
Yeah, they tried to use Prey as a single, where they actually put Prey out as a single CD, like as a pre-release, as an actual single, like a single CD.
Yeah.
And
there
it is. Look at that. Speak of the devil. So he has it. Look at that. So I think that's one of Gravedigger's one of their rare singles, so to speak.
Yeah, I like this album too. It's a great album. It's got some great songs like The Gallows Pole, Hell of Delusion.
That's a great song.
Into the War. Storm Rider is another great song.
Storm Rider is great. I thought Soar of the Dead is great, and then also Shadow of Your Soul.
Yeah, that's a great song.
Shadow of Your Soul is great.
Yeah, so I think this was their debut Napalm Records as well. When they got signed to Napalm Records, this was their debut release for that label. So yeah, I did have this on vinyl, I think, as well. No, I don't have it on vinyl.
I like them on Napalm. I like all their releases on Napalm. They're all they just look like Gravedigger releases. I like their Napalm releases. Like they just have that look, right?
Yeah. And they've also changed their logos as well, as you notice on their their periods, their first period, their second period, and their new logo. It sort of has changed a lot. I do like the new logo better. But yeah, this is a great album. So that is my first 3.
Great stuff. So then we'd be going up next to the rock and roll big dog.
Yeah, so I'm gonna follow Jamie a little bit, and my number 10 pick would be the Digger album. This is a CD bootleg CDR. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
this is Gravedigger's Cold Lake, and you can't deny it. It's a very polarizing record, like Jamie said, and I like it. It's got a lot of hard rock melodies on it, and it's a hard rock album, and you know they're struggling here a lot, trying to find a different identity, I guess. But you know, it's a good hard rock album. It's got good melodies. I like I Don't Need Your Love is my favorite track on this album. It's the chorus goes something like I don't need your love. So it sounds like it reminds me of music from The Elder, where Gene does Under the Rose, where he does it in that like that operatic kind of that faux operatic voice, which I think is kind of cool. So that's what it reminds me of, and I just love this album. So yeah, it's a good album. I mean, is it a Gravedigger album? Who knows? But kind of, sort of. But
Yeah.
it's cool because it's different. So that's number 10. Number 9 for me is the real first, I guess you would call it, maybe it'd be more of an EP than an album. This is when they got back together in the 90s. And this is called Symphony of Death. And that's before The Reaper. They released this. I think this was also in 93. And this rips. The song Symphony of Death is awesome. And it's got a lot of good riffs on it. So that was the Reformation record right there. And I don't even know if they released it on vinyl, but I would love to have it on vinyl.
They did. Under Jolly Roger Records released it on the limited vinyl.
Yeah, it's got the picture disc. I mean, it's just, you know, they're back with a vengeance when you see something like this. I mean, look at that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So
so do check out, get the vinyl of it if you can, but I think now it would be very expensive now because it was very limited run, and it's like a double A side, so you get the same songs on both sides.
Yeah, I think there's only 7 tracks on there, but it's pretty cool. Good Reformation record. So that'd be my number 9. My number 8, I'm kind of going back and forth between two things, but I mean, I classify Gravedigger in basically 3 different eras. Like, you know, got the 80s era, and you've got the Reformation era, and you've got like the modern era, I would call it. But, you know, as far as the 80s eras go, those 3 albums, some of those tracks are really, really good, and some of them aren't so good. So as far as the early 80s go, the early albums, I love this. My number 8 pick is this compilation, Best of the 80s. And this CD rips from start to finish. It's got a lot of the A sides from the album, LP tracks, but it's got a lot of B-side tracks too. I love this CD. Yeah, that's awesome. It's just, 80s. This is one of the first Gravedigger CDs that I heard. The first one that I had was The Gravedigger, which we just saw. That was my first Gravedigger, and this might have been my second one. So when I heard this, I'm like, is this the same band? Because they sound so different. It's got that 80s, more speed metal sound. It's more raw and off the rails than the polished power metal sound of the Gravedigger. And,
are there any unreleased tracks on that album, or just all well-known tracks that from their album?
I think stuff like Shoot Her Down wasn't really released on any LP. I think it was they did like an EP or something, or a single. This might be a bootleg of Shoot Her Down. But that's one of my favorite Gravedigger songs. It's just, I think it's a song about World War II, about shooting down enemy planes. I think that's what it's about.
Yeah, because I got the on this album, it's got the Shoot 'Em Down.
Yeah,
We Want to Rock You, the Mega Mix, Storming the Brain.
Yeah, I mean these songs are awesome. So I'm sure there's other songs that are on here that were maybe non-LP tracks, but I don't know which ones they are. But I've listened to this album so many times. It's just it's an 80s comp.
Yeah, and
I love it. So that would be my number.
Well, the best of the 80s. So 3 albums. Yeah.
Yeah, because the first, I don't really like War Games all that much, but I like Witch Hunter. I like Witch Hunter, and I like Heavy Metal Breakdown. I don't really like War Games all that much. So that's why. Yeah.
Okay.
I do
wrong.
have it though. I do have War
Yeah.
Game.
Yeah, War Games is a great album. You know, I'm not going to spoil my top 10. So,
All right.
And you showed 3 then, right?
Yeah, those are my 3.
That's what I thought. I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure you showed 3. I was like, I didn't
Yep.
want to.
Those are my 3.
And then when I have a bunch of dead silence and be like, and wait for you to show your last one, like, yeah, okay. But no, you said your 3. Cool. So then we'll move it along, and then these ones were a little bit hard for me. This kind of section was a little shuffly for me, but I did figure it out. You know, all in good fun. You know, they do have 21 studio albums. I think it is 20 studio albums. So we're doing half. So I had to half made it and half didn't, pretty much. So I'm doing Healed by Metal next, number 7. Healed by Metal, and I think this one's 2017. So just looking at the back of the track list, ton of stand-up tracks for me. Healed by Metal, When Night Falls, Lawbreaker's great, Free Forever's great, The Hangman's Eye is great, Kill Ritual's great, Kill Ritual, and Laughing with the Dead. I love that track, Laughing with the Dead. Ha 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 ha. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
When he does right before the chorus, as he kind of leads into this chorus, he kind of like laughs into it, but it's kind of funny. But yeah, and then on this one, there's a couple bonus tracks, Kingdom of the Night and Bucket List on this one here. But yeah, better than for me, it was just a little, like some of the songs, just for me personally, were a little bit more memorable than your just standard Gravedigger. Like, you know, for me personally, like Ballads of the Hangman didn't make it. So I'll use that as an example just because it didn't make it for me. So for me, some of the songs on this is just slightly more memorable than for something as some Ballads of the Hangman. So Ballads of the Hangman would be like your perfect consistent album for me. But this one for me just has those ones that for me are just a little bit more memorable, that leads me singing some of the choruses back, things like that. So that's why that one made it for me. And then we do one that Frederick's already shown here, the Gravedigger. And I was going to cut, when we were on topic talking about the Gravedigger, that you were showing the albums there, I think I'm the only one who has this tour sticker on the front there. I don't think you guys have that, so that's a cool one.
No, I did have it on when I got it on the shrink wrap, but I threw the shrink wrap with the sticker on it.
Oh, you got the sticker on there. Oh, is that the same one? Is that one different? Oh, that one's
sealed.
That's the same. Yeah, that's the same sticker. Yeah. It just says limited edition Digipack Gravedigger on tour, and shows the Gravedigger do it page. It's even funny. It shows some ticket hotline on there, the phone number, but probably dead phone number. But yeah, I like this one. This one's cool. When Frederick showed that one with the color, I thought it looked like, it almost tricked me in thinking it was Excalibur for a second. It had the same colors as Excalibur. Yeah. But yeah, anyway, we already touched on this one for a second, and I was just going to briefly say this one's super heavy, super pummeling. Maybe Manny kind of brought those kind of super heavy riffs. I don't know, maybe he was kind of Rage was getting a little, when he was in Rage was starting into getting a little progressive. So he probably had some really raunchy, gnarly riffs saved up that he couldn't use in Rage. So when he got in Gravedigger, he's like, I got some meaty motherfuckers for you. So he brought out some meaty ones in this one. And yes, the tone, the riff, the tone on the guitar sounds incredible on this. Super heavy, super awesome. And ton of standout tracks on this one for me. Son of Evil, The Gravedigger, Spirits of the Dead, Sacred Fire, Funeral Possession, and Haunted Palace, Silence. But that's number 6, I believe, if I'm counting right. If not, put the wrong one back. And this is where I did a little bit of shuffling. I think I had this one higher, and I moved some other stuff higher. But anyway, this one is truly incredible. This one could be easily my number two if I was really hot on it on a certain week or whatever. But this is so good. It could go as high as number two for me, and I think we're at number five. I think this will be number five. I think this will be number five actually. So we got Liberty or Death. What year was this? 2006. Liberty or Death, and this maybe like Gravedigger, for example, is actually heavier, and maybe even like Return to the Reaper is heavier. But this one just has some really like for me some like standout tracks that are memorable for me. So we got the title track, Liberty or Death, Ocean of Blood, Highland Tears, the terrible one, Until the Last King Died. Until the Last King Died is like a really epic kind of cool kind of mid chant song. March of the Innocent, Shadowland, Four Court to Hell. So yeah, super killer album for me. Love this one. Great album. And that was my next round of three.
Okay. Yeah, Liberty of Death. I have not heard that album, but like I kind of missed out on it when it was first released back in the day on Locomotive Records.
But you're right, it is on Locomotive. Actually, the CD one that I have is Locomotive, but it's actually good that you did remind me of something I did want to say. It looks like he's got a cool digipack version there, but you did remind me for a second is like the opening track actually isn't that great, Liberty of Death. And then I think Highland of Tears or the Terrible One is like another mid-paced song. So then already you're kind of 3-4 songs into it, and there's a couple mid-paced songs, and you're thinking, okay, this isn't like kind of a mid-pace, isn't that great? But then it really kicks up, and like the rest of the album's really great. So upon like the first couple tracks, you wouldn't think it would be that great, but it does get great, and even the mid-pace tracks are, the mid-pace Gravedigger tracks are very like anthemic, like they're almost like they almost go into like a Sabaton type realm where it goes into that really like almost like Hammerfall, where you get that very kind of over the top power metal type cheese sort of thing. So when Dave Gravedigger does have their kind of slower mid power anthems, and they have a ton of great ones too. They have a couple bad ones that I skip, but mostly they are pretty good for the most part. So anyway, that was my three. So yeah, Frederick, if you want to go up next.
Okay, I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to show you 3 albums in one.
Oh,
and that is
three in one.
The Middle Ages trilogy.
Oh wow! He's got it.
Yeah, and he's still sealed. Is that the 2 CDs or just 1 CD in that one?
Looks like the 3.
Oh yeah, I got the same, the 3. Yeah, the
box. I've never seen the box before, although they're just individual CDs, so obviously those are. But I've never seen the box before. That's cool. I didn't even know that it really existed. I've had this individual CD, so I never needed it. But yeah, cool.
Yeah, like this is like I said, is the Middle Ages trilogy, and these albums are all concept albums.
Awesome.
Like well, you got the first one, Tunes of War, and this was like a concept album about Scotland.
Mm-hmm.
And this was the beginning of their Scottish sort of themed concept albums. Like they're all the songs tell a story about Wallace the Brave or Braveheart. Like these are really actual historical events. Not like so in the Scottish history. So yeah, this is a great. This is a heavy album. Very fast, very speedy. And you've got like some like the anthemic songs as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, it has that Hammerfall feel to it. Where you raise your fists and just pound it.
That one's very anthemic. Yeah, that one's definitely got that. Yeah, that tunes of war, this anthemic
Yeah,
kind of war
yeah,
anthems and things like that. But
yeah. And it's just like Chris's love of Scotland. You can tell like when he does these albums, he really puts his heart and his thoughts on Scottish history. And this does have bonus tracks as well on this album, like Heavy Metal Breakdown, Witch Hunter, and Headbanging Man. But like they're new sort of updated mixes of the songs from the 80s. So yeah, this is my sixth album. Well, I'll probably do it like this. Next time we have this album, Knights of the Cross.
oh,
This is another concept album which deals with the medieval times. Again, this album, is even heavier. It's
that is fucking heavy. Yeah.
it's just a full-on fast tracks. Again, has that anthemic tracks. There is a cover here. They do a Black Sabbath song, "Children of the Grave," which is not a bad cover. Like you've got songs like "Knights of the Cross," "Monks of War," which is great. "Lionheart," which is that anthemic song again. You got the Battle of Hack. I don't know how you pronounce that word there, but it's the 12th track on there, which is a great song as well. Just great Grim Reaper on the CD.
What are you trying to say? The battle, the curse of Jacques, the curse of Jacques.
The Curse of Jacques is a good song
Jacques.
as well.
Yeah,
No,
the curse of Jacques. It'd probably be like it's probably French. It's French.
yeah, it's just a great they do great concept albums. They they look like sort of like a King Diamond. Of when he does his concept albums, they do it good as well. A lot of bands tend not to do great concept albums. Judas Priest for one. But this band is very good at doing concept albums. So
Hey, I like Nostradamus, but that's another topic another day.
yeah. and my last album will be Gravedigger, and this Excalibur.
Excalibur.
And this is like this topic has been done. Yeah, Dave would have 2 copies. Like this is a concept album about Excalibur, and it has been done millions of times by other bands, like in the Doom scene, and Gravedigger do it, in their style, which is the heavy metal, power metal, speed metal. And this also has a bonus track.
Does your vinyl have the cool picture on the back? Oh, sorry. Does your vinyl have the cool picture on the back? Oh yeah, that's so cool. I love that picture. That picture's awesome.
I love the picture. Yeah. Well, what's funny? The album doesn't have the bonus track, which is Percival, but the CD does. And I'm kind of thinking why they didn't add that track to the album, because it is part of the Excalibur sort of storyline, And this is some great songs as well, like The Secrets of Merlin, Pendragon, which is a sort of anthemic, Excalibur, whatever, The Final War, Mordred's Song, Lancelot. Just a great, sort of medieval.
Lancelot's really cool.
Sort of album, yeah. And what's funny about Gravedigger is that they do have a keyboard player, HP, and it's kind of weird. You don't hear the keyboards. Oh, you got the box set too, Back on Black.
Yeah.
You don't hear HP's keyboards in any of these albums, but there is a keyboard player So yeah, which is kind of weird because you're thinking it would be more keyboard orientated on these albums that we're showing, but no, it's more, it's really guitar based type songs. So yeah,
It's
that's
interesting.
why.
It's interesting you bring that up because I thought the same thing with the Excalibur. About the keyboard is much more um, predominant, much more. It's much more there. It's much more like usually they sneak it in with like double basses and things like that. But here it's like it's much more musical with like the background keyboard.
Yeah,
But yeah, this one's really cool if you're looking for that kind of background stuff. But this one, I originally had it in my top 10, and I just bumped it out to fit. I think Reaper. I think Reaper or something else. I think it was Reaper I was saying, but this almost made my top 10. And every time I listen to this, I like it more and more. Like I've moved it up more and more over the years. I want to listen to it, but it's weird. It's not like the heaviest, and there is, I think, one or two skipper tracks like for me that I skip, but it's cool. Like the fact that the keyboardist is there and like doing some different sounds and things like that. It's like providing the album. It's like making it unique. It's actually making it like stand out because the unique touches that he adds to his keyboards. But for that reason alone, it's like a unique, cool stand-up album for sure.
yeah, like some of the albums you don't hear the keyboard at all, but it's there, but it's very very subtle. Because it's much more like guitar, bass, and drums and vocals, and the keyboard sort of blends in with the guitar. I think in some of these albums, but you don't hear the keyboards at all. Like it's on some of these bands, you hear more of the keyboards, like in some of these other power metal bands that have keyboards in there. But with Gravedigger, you very rarely hear the keyboards in their records.
Yeah, good pick with Excalibur. That one definitely showcases their kind of variety. The variety of, not just the straight speed pummeling speed songs where, they can do some nice kind of songs, symphonic type songs, and keep some speed and melody and blend it all in as well. But yeah, good stuff. And cool. So I guess you showed your three, so we'd be moving along with David's next three.
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of like oddball releases and different kind of pressings and compilations. So you guys have explored a lot of the meat and potatoes Gravedigger records, but I like to listen to a lot of the comps. And this is not really a comp, but it's like a re-recording of their earlier songs, like from the 80s, and they did an awesome job. I'm not usually a fan of re-recorded records. It's not a re-recorded record. This would be like a re-recorded comp. They did an awesome job on this, and it's called Exhumation, the early years. Yeah. I was skeptical about it when I read about it that it was coming out, but I bought it. I think I bought it used because I didn't want to buy it new because I thought it would just be a kind of a ripoff, but it's not. It's awesome. I mean, when you first hear Headbanging Man and like a 2000s kind of version of it, really heavy with that 90s or 2000s kind of production, it was really good.
Yeah, that's the same on here. That I think they took this song Headbanging Man and put it on that album because I think it's their modern take on Headbanging Man. It's very different to what they did on the original. It's a complete different mix and structure song wise as well.
And their version on here of Heavy Metal Breakdown makes me love the song 100 times more. It's so much better on this album Exhumation than it is on the original.
Does it have the song Witch Hunter on there as well?
Witch Hunter is on here. Yep, it's the third song. Yep. And they have Shoot Her Down on here. So they have kind of all my favorite earlier Gravedigger tracks.
Yeah, like on here, like the bonus tracks. I think these did come off that album, so they were, they added them on afterwards when they re-recorded the tracks.
So this is from 2015. So I don't know if those are the same. I don't know.
Tunes of War. Let's have a look. Yeah. Tunes of War.
That's from the 90s.
97.
Yeah. So I think they totally re-recorded all the songs.
Again, it's for the third time.
And this album, I mean, I love it. I listen to it. So that's
You got the
what
vinyl?
what's
You
that?
got the vinyl of that? You got the vinyl of that one?
Not of this. No, no. The
No,
only
no,
one I just have the Digger albums, and I have this this Back on Black sealed box set of all these records. I never opened it.
Yeah, I've got all the Back on Black here vinyl set as well. Yeah.
I kind of wish I did open it. They had a second one of these, and I could have bought it, but I have trouble. I have trouble opening, sealed box sets for some reason. So I haven't opened it.
Same, yeah.
So it's still in the original packaging. That's pretty cool.
Because I have seen,
yeah, go ahead. This one?
Yeah, it's still available on vinyl, through the Napalm Records store.
Yeah, I totally recommend it. It's hard to find now on CD. I saw it on CD like maybe once when it was released, and I never saw it again.
Yeah,
so that's my number 6, right? Yep, 6, I think. No, 7. That's 7, right?
yeah, 7. Yeah.
10, 9, 8. So that's 7. So this will be number 6. So this is following kind of a similar pattern for this middle 3 that I listened to, and it's this compilation.
What the hell's that? I've never seen that one.
It's called The Lost Tunes from the Vault.
Ooh.
And it was a special release from 2003, and it's got some unreleased tracks on it, some live stuff. The reason why I love this one so much, it's got Kill the King on it, previously unreleased. The Great Rainbow song from Dio.
Okay.
Yeah, this thing is awesome.
Sin City, I've never heard of that album, that song.
It's got Sin City from AC/DC. It's got Starlight from Accept, and it's got We Rock from Dio.
Okay, cool.
So this is pretty cool little compilation.
Oh, well, BMG, so it might be still available. Might be one of those still available albums to get.
And I scoop these up as soon as I see them, and actually I scoop up multiple copies because I know they're only going to be out. I probably have another copy here somewhere, but I know they're only out for a little limited amount of time, and I get it, and I love this. I love the CD. So it's got
Oh yeah,
very cool. It's got a live version. It's got Children of the Grave on it from Black Sabbath. It's got Headbanging Man, Witch Hunter, Heavy Metal Breakdown, Don't Bring Me Down, which I think isn't that a ELO song? I don't know. I don't know if it's an ELO cover, but I think it might be.
It could. Yeah, I think it is. Don't Bring Me Down. Don't Bring Me Down.
Yeah, it's a rock song. Yeah, it's
Yeah, it's rock. Yeah.
But so another kind of compilation that's really cool. So then I'm gonna go with this is more of a standard kind of Gravedigger LP. I love Rheingold.
Oh,
I love this album. This is a complete concept album. It's almost a rock opera. It's almost like a power metal rock opera, but it's got that whole Nordic, the Wagner ring cycle. It's been done in heavy metal so often. The ring cycle, with the Lord of the Rings and all that kind of stuff. But it's just based off that guy Richard Wagner, the German opera guy.
Yeah.
So it's just such a cool concept album, and all the songs work, and they all fit together perfectly, and the concept is awesome. The artwork is stunning. I mean, the CD, these picture discs is really good, so it's like a lot of visual, a lot of imagery to go along with the music. So you're listening to the music, and if you know the opera at all, you just it paints a really vivid picture. And the song Rheingold is such a good song. Valhalla is a good song. Giants, every song on here is good. And the last one, Twilight of the Gods, it kind of sounds like could be like a Bathory song. It's not, but it's kind of like a slower doomy song. So yeah, it's not Bathory, but I don't think anybody could cover Bathory. But it's just awesome. I have like 5 or 6 copies of this.
Okay, I'll have a copy.
So the Digibook has like some embossing on it. I don't know if you can see it, but there's some embossing silvery on it. But I guess you can't really see it.
But any bonus tracks on the digipack, or is it just the same track listing?
Yep. 2 songs, Hero and Goodbye, which I don't remember what they really sound like, but I find that the bonus tracks on a lot of these Gravedigger albums aren't really that great. They're kind of just like maybe songs that maybe they were just knocking around in the studio and they just decided to throw them on so somebody like me would buy an extra album, which it always gets me.
Okay.
But I find that some of the Gravedigger extra tracks just aren't that great for me. But yeah.
Oh, cool. I do like that. That digibook looks awesome.
Yeah, I think this is the original one that I bought, and then it came out in a jewel case. So this is, I think, the original one that I bought when it was first released, and it's still in pretty good shape. Usually, digibooks get really beat up especially if you have them in your car. They'll get all knackered around the edges, but this one I kept in pretty good shape.
That they should do a lenticular cover, sort of series of some of these album covers from Gravedigger. Would be awesome.
That would be an amazing lenticular cover. In fact, that's probably my favorite Gravedigger cover, because it's got the red and the blue and the HPs. That's the keyboard is pretty much, that's what he wears. And
HP did leave the band after, so.
Nah, I mean, it's got in the cover here, it's got all of the characters that are in the album, which is really cool. So that's why I like it so much. Yeah.
I did see on the back that it was by Richard Wagner on the back of the digipack. This says inspired by Richard Wagner, which is good.
Yep. Ring of the Nibelungs. It's the Ring Cycle. It's a very, very famous. I think it's from the 1800s. I think he wrote it in the 1800s. Very old, very well known. A lot of people go to the opera, and it's a very well known thing. It's there's books written about it. So to do a heavy metal version of it's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, a lot of bands should take a look at what Gravedigger are doing with these concept albums, and really pay attention. King Diamond does it well, but if any other bands want to do like concept albums, they should have a look at Gravedigger, and get inspired by doing concept albums like Rheingold and Tunes of War and whatever concept album they have done.
I think this was the follow-up after the Gravedigger, and I didn't think they could beat the Gravedigger production-wise and everything, but this production-wise is not as in your face as the Gravedigger. It's not as in your face, but I love the production on this album. I'm a big fan of production. I like how they changed the sound a little bit. Still forceful, but it's awesome. So that's my last pick for this round.
Oh, cool. That's an album that I need to pick up. Yeah, eventually. Top my bucket list of albums.
Great album. Great anthemic power metal.
I like the 2 tracks back to back. Dragon and Lyre, unless it's Lair. Dragon and Lair. Probably it's Lyre. But I would be starting off the next round, and that would be 4, 3, and 2. So we're doing 4, 3, and 2. So number 4. Yeah, these ones were hard to kind of crunch out, but again, it's all in good fun. So I'm doing The Clans Will Rise Again, 2010. Love this album. This album has a really Scottish, Irish undertones going on in a lot of the songs, like Hammer of the Scots, Highland Farewell, The Clans Will Rise Again, Rebels, Valley of the Tears, you get the point, Piper McLeod. So this is pretty much I would say probably most likely a concept album, although I'm not good with all that kind of stuff in general, which albums are concepts and what's not, which are Scotland, which ones aren't, which ones are this, which ones aren't. But I think this one, it's safe to say this is a Scottish concept type album. But yeah, that'd be a good thumbnail picture. There we go. If I can remember the time on it, but maybe I'll find it. We'll all freeze for the thumbnail. Yeah, there we go. Click. There, we just took a selfie. Okay, anyway. Actually, number 4. Yeah, number 4. This is clearly one of my favorite Gravedigger albums, but partly in because I really do when they do have those bagpipes in the songs. I really love that. Just like on Fields of Blood, Clans Will Rise Again, Tunes of War. I really love when they get into that Scottish, Irish, bagpipey type sound. I really love that stuff. Kind of pumps me up, makes me feel good. So that's why this one is one of my more favorites. But yeah, I kind of mentioned already those songs already. But yeah, I believe Hammer of the Scots, there's a music video for that. It's either Hammer of the Scots or Highland Farewell. I think Highland Farewell they have a music video for, and it's the full-on Scottish bagpipe thing. And the bagpipes, they're in a field. He's got the Irish kilt on. He's got the kilt on, or what's the Irish shorts that they wear? The kilt.
Kilt.
Kilt. Yeah, he's wearing a kilt. And they're in a field. It's like total bagpipe, Greenland, Scottish.
Highland Farewell was the video.
Yeah, so definitely check out that music video if you're looking for something. If you know.
Jamie, would you consider that album like the sequel to Tunes of War, like the follow-up? I think
it is. I think it is. Yeah. I didn't want to say like out of my ass. So I'm not Wikipedia. I'm not a Gravedigger Wikipedia. But I think it is.
And then their new one would be like the third chapter of the Scottish trilogy sort of thing.
The debut one.
No, the new one, the brand new one.
Oh, the Fields of Blood. Yeah. I really like all that stuff. That sound. It just like makes them sound really unique, and not a lot of the bands are doing that. The only other band I know that really, but I guess so like a lot of folk and stuff like that. It's doing bagpipe, Irish, Scottish stuff, but I don't get into a whole lot of that stuff. So to like mix it in with pure like heavy, kick-ass heavy metal, it's just really cool, really unique, fits well. Anyway. So next we'd be going with actually, it's funny because just as we think is the one that the sequel to this, although like the prequel to it is Tunes of War. That'd be my number 3. So number 3, we're getting to the top here. My top 3. So Tunes of War, number 3. And this is like for me, like pretty much the essential Gravedigger album. Like if someone wanted to know what Gravedigger was about, I would easily say Tunes of War. Check out Tunes of War. This is your essential Gravedigger album, just because it does have a lot of that Irish thing going on. Scotland United, William Wallace, the Battle of Flodden, Cry for Freedom, Killing Time, Culloden Mirror. But yeah, this is an all-around consistent, really cool Gravedigger album. A lot of the songs aren't just all like the same tempo, like they're kind of like there's some variations to them, so it's really kind of like a unique variety album. But yeah, really cool variety, kick-ass heavy metal, great imagery, great like lyrical kind of content, right, as you kind of imagine, but like with the Scottish War and stuff like that, so cool kind of lyrical content. And yeah, this is an all-around one of the top Gravediggers in my opinion. And number 2, wow, crazy, can't believe we're at number 2 here. Ooh, drum roll. Okay, number 2. And actually, what was I initially had a top 10, and to be honest, Tunes of War was my number 2. And when I did a kind of a brief revisit a couple hours before the show, just to kind of, okay, I'm going to revisit all my albums in my top 10 and kind of see if there's any shuffling to be had. And my number 2 actually did a shuffle, which is quite big. So Tunes of War, I had number 2. And I did a swap for this album because this album is just really fucking heavy. Return of the Reaper.
Yes.
2014, Return of the Reaper. And just when I look at the back of the track listing, it looks like a greatest hits to me. And not only that, but all the production's incredible. The guitar tone is incredible. All the songs are kind of fasty, speedy, just heavy metal, in your face, kick-ass heavy metal. But standout tracks for me on this album, just looking at the back, Return of the Reaper, Hell Funeral, Tattooed Rider, Resurrection Day, Season of the Witch, Road Rage Killer, Grave Desecrator, and I really love D Los Muertos. D Los Muertos is great, and Death Smiles at All of Us. But yeah, I love this album. This album's super heavy, super consistent, incredible. Exactly what you're looking for with Gravedigger. It's got the heaviness of like the Gravedigger. It's as heavy as this, but then the songs are more memorable for me. So yeah, me and Frederick, I think, have picked the Gravedigger already. And so I picked the Gravedigger already, but it's as heavy as that. Like it's heavy as that, but then it has all the super memorable songs that you'd want. So they nailed it. They nailed it on this one. Perfect. Couldn't be any better. 10 out of 10, 11 out of 10, that sort of stuff for me. But yeah, Return of the Reaper. I talked it up best I could.
Okay, I guess it's my turn.
Sure.
And I'm going with my other pick, and that's the same album.
Oh yeah, awesome.
This is a great album, and Dave, this is the best artwork of one of Gravedigger's albums.
I like it.
It's almost like the Gravedigger version of Abigail.
Yeah, Abigail and Dissections, the Sonderland. You know, I call it the albums of death. You know, like it's three like a concept sort of thing. But this is a great album. You know, it's so heavy. You know, it's they speed it up on this album. You know, like there are some great songs here, like Dia de los Muertos. It's a great song. I like Satan's Host. War God is a great song. Return of the Reaper, you know, and there's there's like a whole bunch of bonus tracks. You know, you got 2 bonus tracks, and then you got like 8 sort of acoustic sort of songs they rehashed again. You know, from the Exhumed sort of, you know, again they tried to like a heavy metal.
Oh, I don't have that on mine. I don't have that acoustic set on mine. No.
You know, they got like all the acoustic tracks, and yeah, this is a great album. This one's still sealed because I do have like the CD as well. But yeah, I really love Return of the Reaper. I think this is a good album. If you want to start with listening to Gravedigger, for me, I think this would be an album to start off with. You know, just because of the artwork, you know, and the great songs, you know. They do tend to write, you know, like long albums as well. I've noticed, you know, sometimes the albums that get a bit too long in the tooth. And like you said, like earlier, they do have some songs that which you like fillers, you know, which need to be sort of like chopped off. But like this album, you know, like the acoustic tracks, they could have done like an extra album for that and just added some, you know, just take off the acoustic stuff and left it as that. But yeah, this is a great album. Grim Reaper, Return of the Reaper, and this is great artwork. One of the best artworks that they have done.
I never noticed that. I never noticed that the artwork on the CD is actually the artwork that he would use on that Hellrider project. Isn't that's kind of the skull that they used on the front cover of the Hellrider project?
Yeah, there's the head there on the sort of blown up. Yeah, so it's a great. Okay.
I don't know if anyone's familiar, but I'll just quickly. I don't know if you're thinking, what the hell is he talking about? Hellrider is when the lockdowns happened, Gravedigger was bored and he put out a side project called Hellrider. He put out a side project called Hellrider. So if anyone's watching in the future or on YouTube land and you're like, what's he talking about? Yeah, check out Hellrider. Chris Bowl put Chris Boltonall put that put that project out in the pandemic just to keep him busy. So
okay, now My next two are my all-time favorite Gravedigger albums, and the first one would be Heavy Metal Breakdown, their third album.
Their
No,
third.
the second album.
Like their third album.
The second album.
First.
This was the album that sort of got me into Gravedigger back in the day. You know, the early stuff. You know, this was very raw sounding. Little bit darker. You know, in their sound that this, you know, on these early albums. You know, you can see like with the sort of the imagery as well, wearing the sort of the monk sort of you know, sort of like, so that was well on CD. Yeah.
Band shot of the guys on this one.
Yeah. They're just so like a great album. Yeah.
What year is this band? This is 1984, I believe, isn't it? 1984? The Metal Breakdown? 84, 85? So I think Witch Hunter's
I think 85. I think it's around 85.
I think this one's 84, 85, and then Witch Hunter's 85, 86. But
yeah, because you can't tell with the font, you know, the red on the black and the blue. It's very shitty font. Yeah, like I said, this is some great album. This is the reissue, of course. It has like the bonus tracks from the EP, Shoot 'Em Down EP, which David showed earlier on CD.
I have it.
Cool. Yeah. That's actually cool from the head.
Yeah, I love that. Love the artwork on this as well. This is great artwork. You know, the skull as the earth. Yeah, it's some great songs on here, like Heavy Metal Breakdown, which is a classic song that they play all the time. What else is Back to the War, We Want to Rock You, Legions of the Lost. It's a great song. What else? Yeah, just Headbanging Man is another staple song Gravedigger have played throughout the years. So if you are new to Hellbringer, Gravedigger, you know, and you like their newer stuff, and you haven't heard their early stuff, do check out these early albums from Gravedigger, because they are a bit more darker than what they did later on. So yeah, Gravedigger. Okay, and for my second album, I think this album that David doesn't like, but I love it, and that is War Games.
It's okay.
Yeah.
War Games.
It's okay.
And this is the album that got me started on Gravedigger. This one and the next one I'll show later. Yeah, this is a great song album. You know, like has those anthemic songs like Playing Fools, you know, Keep on Rocking, Let Your Heads Roll, which is a great slower, heavy sort of headbanging song. Yeah, you know, you can Paradise, which is a little bit more faster sounding. You know, so yeah, the artwork on here is great as well. You know, this is kind of a bit cheesy, sort of the artwork.
It was the 80s.
Yeah, the 80s artwork, yeah. But it is a cool T-shirt. I don't need to get this on a T-shirt, you know. So yeah, and this is here on the photo. They look a little bit glammy because Chris has got white face makeup.
Look what they wrote there. Chris doesn't like this photo. It's not even in mine.
No. So
yeah, it almost looks like a Japanese band, right? Because they would put on some of that white kind of powder, right?
Yeah, it's very it's almost like glammy. I think this was like when they did Digger. This was like
Yeah.
when they did the Digger album, they went a bit more sort of a glammy look. But this is just a heavy album. You know, it's not glammy at all, but they do look like a glam band on this photo.
Well, yeah, actually, I was just going to bring that up right at the same time you did. Is yeah, they were going through a bit of an identity crisis because yeah, they had the first two albums there, Heavy Metal Breakdown and Witch Hunter, where they would probably wear steel and the Judas Priest look probably. And then the record company convinced them to switch over to looking like that with the Beach Boys kind of dress shirts. And then the very next album, this, the Japanese kind of goth, weird kind of alt goth look. So it's funny they went from that to that all within the next album.
Yeah, I was yeah, because Chris on here he does look Japanese on this photo.
Yeah, it's like the Japanese kind of
loudness, almost like a loudness look. You know, a bit.
They were doing it, right? Yeah, they would put on that white powder and stuff.
Yeah, but this is a great album. I know Dave is on the border on this album, but you know,
this album is heavy. It is heavy.
It is heavy, and it's like it's like in their more darker period, like the early noise records when the bands will start getting into that sort of darker stuff. You know, the Satan. You know, but this is not about Satan. This is like you could almost say it's like a concept album because it's all about war. You know, so yeah, this is probably like their first concept album.
It was a great return after Digger. Like to be honest, it's much heavier and it's heavier than Stronger Than Ever for sure. So like the heavy metal, the return is back.
Yeah. It has that traditional metal sound. It has that like the early German speed metal, like bands like Warrant and Running Wild and Rage, sort of style of sound. But one thing what puzzles me is why Noise never reissued this back on vinyl like they did with the first two reissues. Like kind of wondering what the story is behind that, why they never got reissued.
Probably something to do with publishing.
Because I know like their first album was on Noise, their third one was on Noise. This is on Noise, but I just don't can't understand it because I would have loved this being reissued on vinyl as well. When Noise BMG did all those reissues. So
I know. It's cool you touch on that because like Digger never actually came out on CD. It's never officially been released on CD. So I had to get the vinyl version just so I can complete my Gravedigger collection. But it's officially never been released on CD.
Yeah, Dave's got the bootleg.
Yeah, it must be because it's never actually been on CD. So yeah,
bootleg. See, the color, but still, even if it's a bootleg, it's still a good thing to have as well.
It's a good bootleg.
And then War Games is really hard to get. Like it's very kind of like rare. Like it's not just like as easy as the other albums to get. So not a lot of people actually even rarely have heard War Games and Stronger Than Ever.
Didn't War Games come out before Stronger Than Ever? I think War Games was 85 and Stronger Than Ever was 86.
90. Oh, that's the reissue date. 85. This came out.
Yeah, and I think Stronger Than Ever was 86.
Yeah. And then Gravedigger broke up after that for a bit, and then they came back
in 93.
For whatever reason, in my head, I have it that they did Gravedigger and then they came back with War Games, but I'm clearly wrong with that. But I just have it in my head. That's the way I think it went. But it obviously didn't go like that.
Yeah.
But, yeah,
Okay.
cool stuff. Great picks. I'm glad that War Games showed up on the list because yeah, I think even now like it's not as accessible to find on physical, so it's not as popular. Not a lot of people's heard it just because it's hard to get. It's hard to hear it.
Yeah. That's why it needs to be reissued on vinyl. You know,
Yeah,
Noise
exactly.
Records needs to reissue it on
Yeah.
vinyl.
Yeah, you can't just go on Amazon and just load it up and buy it for 15, 20
No.
bucks.
No, it's expensive. You know, like the early stuff. You know, early pressings of these albums are expensive. You know, like and now that they're being reissued, which is good. People can get their hands on these reissues easily.
Yeah. And then they could have and then these albums can have resurgences, like when they get these reissues. It's like, oh, people have never heard this album, and now all of a sudden everyone's hearing it. Now everyone's saying it's so great.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see what they've got to bring it to the table now.
Exactly.
So,
great. Yeah.
I really agree with a lot of these later picks, but I gonna push this album a little up higher because this was the first. This is the Gravedigger, kind of a self-titled album, I guess. But I like this album because it was my first actual Gravedigger album that I bought that I heard, and when I heard Chris's voice, my jaw hit the floor. I'm like, I've never heard a voice like that. It was so powerful. It was like it reminded me of Udo on steroids, I think. And I'm like, I listened to this. This was what 2001 or something. This is 20 years ago at this point, and I'm like, wow, how come I've never heard of this band before? So then I had to go back and get the catalog, which I got pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But this was my first Gravedigger record. It's the first one I heard, and I was just the power and the glory, and this was just total power metal, total anthemic. Every song is like an anthem. My favorite song off this, nobody mentioned. I'm surprised. I thought you guys would mention it. Scythe of Time. Scythe of Time. That's my favorite song off this album. I love that song. It's got like this deep, deep bass groove. And it's got the lyrics, and it's kind of a scary song. It very much reminds me of like King Diamond, kind of what he would do. And then I think you guys mentioned it, but the ballad at the end, Silence. I think it's a ballad, right? It's a really good ballad. And then I mean, I think this whole Son of Evil, the leadoff track, just crushes. When I first heard that, I'm like, this absolutely crushes. I couldn't believe it, how heavy it was. And I'm like, there's some
Manny's guitar tone on that is it's just he was coming off Rage, so he brought that Rage sort of tone into that album as well.
And the great thing about Gravedigger is that they're not just one blinding speed. A lot of these power metal bands, they just go this one blinding speed. It's all 30-second notes and stuff, and all the same beats, and it just sounds all the same after a while. So I get tired of it. But Gravedigger always kind of manages to mix up the tempos and the dynamics. And not every song starts with a guitar riff. Sometimes it starts with the drums. Sometimes they have sometimes they have weird arrangements like that polka song, which is kind of funny. I mean, it's a joke song, but you got to give them credit because they try to keep things a little fresh. They do all the standard power metal stuff, but they mix it up, and that's why I love Gravedigger so much, because very, very dynamic band, and Chris writes good songs. And
one thing we didn't mention was the logo, how it changed from that logo to this logo. I prefer this logo.
I like the new logo better, the updated logo.
Yeah.
So that album is really a top album. It's a number 4 for me. Number 3, I mean, when someone asks me what Gravedigger, what does Gravedigger sound like? What's the best representation? And this album's been mentioned a lot. Tunes of War.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't mention Gravedigger without this. I mean, when I first heard Scotland United and The Dark of the Sun, I mean, oh my God, those are anthems. Those are just, you want to sing along to it. Yeah. I mean, you just want to pump your fist. You want to sing along to it. They're such good songs. They're hooks. They're heavy, but they have hooks. So it's like, they're almost like, I don't want to say they're like pop songs, but it's like they have these almost pop hooks that really you remember the songs, and yeah, you remember the band, you remember the album, and you've got that iconic, artwork,
Yeah,
and the whole Scotland concept album. It's all brilliant stuff, and it's just not, to me, it's just not standard heavy metal.
no,
It takes
yeah.
it just takes the concept and it goes, it's like takes the concept and it runs with it and does a really good job.
Yeah, that album would have been like a number one for me as well, because like I said earlier, I'm trying to pick 10 albums from Gravedigger. It is a very difficult, sort of a challenge, because like Tunes of War could easily be a number one for a lot of people's in there, like top 10 albums by Gravedigger.
I mean, you got those aren't the bagpipes in the first track, the opening?
Yeah, the bagpipes.
There's something about bagpipes and heavy metal that goes, I think it goes great together.
Yeah, actually, I've got a story about bagpipes. There's a guy here in where I live in Perth who plays bagpipes, toured with Gravedigger at Varken.
Wow! Oh, he went to Varken.
Yeah, he went to Varken and he played bagpipes for Gravedigger.
I see that show. I've watched that. That's awesome.
Yeah, he's a punk. He's a punk. He's got like the mohawk and he wears the leather kilt. And he's he played with the Gravedigger.
To me, the bagpipes are such a unique sound. I mean, there's nothing that really sounds like them, and obviously it's a uniquely Irish thing. But when I heard that AC/DC song "Long Way to the Top," if you want to rock and roll, and they have that bagpipe solo in the middle, that actually makes me want to headbang really hard. I love that bagpipe solo right in the middle of the song, which is absolutely brilliant. So whenever I hear bagpipes, it grabs my attention, and when it's done really well in this kind of format, heavy metal and rock, it just, you remember it. It's a hook in and of itself.
Yeah, the folk metal that does with the bagpipes, but I don't think with folk metal you don't get excited with bagpipes in folk metal. But when you hear bagpipes in Gravedigger, you just want to bang your head, like but with the folk metal, you just want to just sit there and listen to it. But with the Gravedigger, it's that you just want to bang your head.
It might be all about the context and how they use it. But
true, yeah, that's also
But it's just awesome. So those are my and my number. This will be my number 2 pick. And my number 2 pick, it's already been mentioned, and it's just a freaking amazing album, Return of the Reaper.
Ooh.
Now this is, it's one of the later, it's 2014, so I would consider it, the I guess the third era, the modern era of Gravedigger. But when I heard this, I'm like, oh my God, they are back, and they're back with a vengeance. My favorite song on this, what is it? Road Rage Killer.
Yeah, that's a great song too. Yeah,
that song is amazing. So, for modern era Gravedigger, that's not Tunes of War. I love this album, Return of the Reaper. It's just it's got so many hooks to it. It's heavy, it's fast. It's got a little bit of humor with it. I mean, come on, just the lyrics, Grave Desecrator. I mean, come on. Yeah. Those are some funny lyrics. It's all tongue-in-cheek stuff. They're not really satanic or anything. It's just so over the top. It's like a Merciful Fate King Diamond thing. It's so over the top that how could anybody believe that these guys are like Satanists or anything? So that's why I love these guys so much, because it's all imagery and theatrics, which is what good heavy metal is.
Yeah, that's why I think what Gravedigger brings, like in the early stuff, they never were into that sort of Satan, like it, like the Raining Wilds in that period, or the Slayers. They weren't really into that sort of imagery, with the spikes and sort of vertical crosses, like a lot of these early German bands that came out through Noise Records. They were more into talking about war and having fun, partying, sort of banging your head, enjoying yourself. You never hear words pray hell Satan, praise Satan, or anything like that on any of their albums. Really, they weren't a satanic band.
It's like, it looks really dark and it looks evil, but it's almost like a party album to me. It's like a fun album. It makes me want to drive my car faster. It doesn't make me want to go worship Satan or anything. It's a
Right.
fun album. It's got
Yeah.
hooks and everything. So I mean, it's kind of like it looks dark and evil, but it's not. It's awesome. It's all done tongue in cheek. Which good heavy metal. It's about theatrics. It's about pageantry, and these guys do it all. And they wrap it up with hooks. So
Awesome. Would you buy an album with the Gravedigger if it had a picture of a rabbit and some flowers around it?
Of course I would.
Yeah.
I would.
Yeah.
I would. But yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah.
So yeah.
But this is heavy metal imagery personified. I mean, when you think of heavy metal, yeah, if it had a picture of a rabbit on it and hearts, maybe you're not gonna really want it. But you see what is this kind of the Horsemen of the Apocalypse kind of thing or whatever it is. That's cool.
Rider.
Rider. The Hell Rider.
Like we said before, it reminds you of like a King Diamond album cover, or even Dissection, the Somberland cover with the hearse, and the rider, it's almost they're trying to copy that sort of artwork, but in different ways to interpret it. So yeah, but I love the death riding on a hearse. It's just great imagery. It's just and the coffin. Like it's almost like he's robbing a grave. Like he dug up a coffin and he's riding away. Stealing a body.
I mean that's heavy metal. That's the essence of heavy metal right there.
Yeah. You got the skulls. Heavy metal is always about skulls as well.
Yeah. And it's done in the way that's fun. It's not done in the way that's like depressing.
This artwork, I would love to have an original painting of this hanging on my wall. I think this is a great piece of artwork that you could hang on your wall.
Yeah, I like it. I have I think I have an original Tunes of War promo poster somewhere. I do. I think I have to look for it.
Like and talk about fun is Dia de Los Muertos off this album. I know you mentioned fun a couple times with Gravedigger and off this album, Dia de Los Muertos. Now that's super fun. That's fun heavy metal. It's almost like
Mexican sort of like a type of track, talking about the day of the dead, so they're thinking about Day of the Dead,
Well, I think they do that on these later era albums. They put like one kind of joke fun song on there. It's like not really heavy metal to show you that they're, they have a sense of humor.
Yeah, well, the Germans do, like some of these albums, you hear today, they do put like a comical track on there just to take away the darkness of the album. They put something that's light and cheerful, so just to break the monotony of the album, which is good.
I was like, just like Zombie Dance. That's what I was like, Dia de los Muertos is super kind of different, just like the Zombie Dance is kind of a deep track, right? Fun, goofy track. But he took off somewhere, but so yeah, he did his 4, 3, and 2, I believe, right?
Yep, he did that. Yep. So it's up to you now, Jamie.
Bring it home. On my big number one, we're on the number one round here then.
Okay. Should we wait for Dave or we'll continue?
Yeah,
I was looking for that Tunes of War poster. I don't know where it is.
Oh, okay.
It is, I think, various stages. I've had Tunes of War as number one. Even at times I've had The Clans Will Rise as number one. But I do kind of always have this at number one too. I know none of that made sense. Like, yeah, I always kind of toss and turn between 3 number ones. And it just so happens this is going to be my number one this time. And it's a hell of a hell of an album because either way, it's either number one or number two. So yeah, either way, this is my number one for right
Oh.
now today.
Yeah,
I
Knights
thought
of
you
the
were going to say
Cross.
Excalibur.
No, Knights of the Cross, I believe 2000, no, 1998. So yeah, Tunes of War was 96, and then the album right after, 1998, was Knights of the Cross. And Knights of the Cross kind of just was going left off right where Tunes of War was going. Well, it's not its concept with Scotland, but the high quality music content was right up there. But this album was just a little bit darker, a little bit heavier, but it still had just the same amount of the catchiness. It took the catchiness of the catchiness songs of Tunes of War and said, okay, well, we're not going to do the concept, but we're going to ramp up the heavy metal a bit. So it's just Tunes of War, just ramped up a little bit more, a little bit darker. But again, similar type stuff. But yeah, Knights of the Cross, this is for me my number one, the essential, the just ass kicker Gravedigger album. But this whole album for me, looking at the back of the track list, just like some of my other top threes, but just looks like a greatest hits, I was going to say, rather, sorry. But Knights of the Cross, Monks of War, Fanatic Assassins, The Keeper of the Holy Grail, epic, slow kind of raise your fist, kind of like almost think like a super epic iced earth track where you have those sing along iced earth kind of power metal track. That's like that. The Keeper of the Holy Grail, incredible. Baphomet, The Curse of Jocks, The Battle of Bannockburn, incredible stuff. Production sounds great. Although what's really cool is the production 1998 is the production's not like perfect, like crisp, perfect, like Return of the Reaper or something like that. It's not like as perfect as that. So it has that really cool 90s production still. So it has like a bit of that, raw, like, that 90s production, but just super heavy death metal, sounds current, sounds modern. Yeah, not much more I can say, trying to pump it up, but yeah, incredible.
Yeah, you can't praise that album enough as well.
Yeah, this is incredible. Like you can't go wrong with Tunes of War. Yeah, well, my top three was number one, this one, number two, my number two was Return of the Reaper, and number three, Tunes of War. But for me, you can't go wrong with either of those three, or well, you can't go wrong with either of the top
No.
20 Gravedigger albums, really. But number one, Knights of the Cross. I'm happy with my pick.
Yeah, cool. Okay, I guess it's my number one, and that my number one will have to be Witch Hunter.
Wow.
And this is a American version, and it has a different track listing to what the European.
I didn't know that.
And this is the European.
I originally had Witch Hunter in my top 10, and I bumped it out for something else. I originally had it in my top 10, and it got bumped out, so it was close, but yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I'll read off the track listing of the cassette, and see if you have it on the CD. The first track is Shine On.
I don't have that.
It's a bonus track on this album, on this one.
Witch Hunter is the second track. Night Drifter, the third track.
Yeah.
Get Ready for Power, the fourth track.
That seems to be going in succession now. Yeah.
Tears of Blood.
That's a bonus track on this one.
Don't Kill the Children.
That's a bonus track on this one as well. I knew that one. Yeah.
Get Away.
Yeah, it's on there.
Fight for Freedom.
Yep.
Here I Stand.
That's the last track on this.
And Friends of Mine is the last track on this version.
Well, I have School's Out.
Yeah, School's Out.
School's Out. I've got on this version. Like this is the European version. So the European version had Witch Hunter, Night Drifter, Get Ready for Power, Love Is a Game, get away, fight for freedom, school's out, friends of mine, here I stand.
I have the European version.
Yeah, this is the European version. So it's kind of weird. I don't know why the Americans had a different version to what the Europeans had. Yeah, this was the first album that I brought from Gravedigger, and that was the cassette. I saw the cover, and I thought, yeah, the cover looks awesome. I need
right away, that's going to be heavy metal.
Yeah, I thought, yeah, this looks something that I might be interested in. It was on Megaforce Records, and Megaforce was a big label that I really liked, because of the early thrash metal. So yeah, I brought this and I took it home and I put it on, and I heard that Witch Hunter, the opening of Witch Hunter, where the witch screams, that cackle. When I heard that cackle, and then that riff just pounds in, heavy, fast speed metal riff with the guitar. It just blew me away, and I said, yeah, this is a band that I will keep on getting their records. So yeah, this is a great album. A classic. They got Witch Hunter's always a song that they play live. Fight for freedom. But rest of the tracks they don't really play live that much, which is a shame. I reckon they should go. They should go out and do like a lot of bands doing with albums, do the whole set of an album.
Yeah,
they should go out and do a whole Witch Hunter sort of set or war game set. But this is speed metal at its finest. This was, the earliest was the first, Halloween. I would say between Halloween's debut EP, where they were sort of speed metal, and this is just full on speed metal. The cover art is good. The whole album is great. That's original OG cassette. Nothing on the J card, just plain, just the cover.
Some authentic mid-'80s German speed metal.
Yes, just speed metal, yeah. But
they pretty much took what Acceptor's doing and just kind of basically ramped it up a bit.
Yeah, they did. They ramped it up, yeah, quite a bit. And Chris's vocals, are very easy recognizable. You could, if you listen to a song on the radio and you hear Chris's voice, you would know who it is. Like Udo. When you hear Udo's voice, oh, that's Udo. I know that voice. So yeah, Witch Hunter is my number one pick.
Wow.
And if anybody disagrees with me, they're gonna get thrashed.
That's a good album. I like that album. All right, so we're ready for my number one.
Well, any of us have the same number one?
No.
Oh.
But, this is an album that I have listened to probably hundreds of times.
Oh, I know what it is.
Yeah, and it just, oh my God, when the intro kicks in and then they go into that first riff, I just want to start just picking up cars and throwing them in the ravine. That's what it makes me want to hulk up and just start picking up cars and just throwing them like the Hulk. So it's the Reaper.
Ah, I knew it.
Oh my God, this is a fresh slice of Lucifer pie every time.
Oh,
I love this record. Yeah, I mean that first track, the Reaper, the title song, just rips the head off anything you can imagine. It's so good. And then it just goes right into the next song, Right On. It kind of segues in there really well. And oh my God. And then you've got the kind of the funny track, Wedding Day, where he's kind of lamenting that he's getting married. It's my wedding day. It's kind of their funny track there. And I think they wrote a song about their old guitarist Peter Masson, the Spy of Masson. It's kind of a funny song.
Yeah, I think track 12 as well is a funny song.
Yeah, Ruler Mr. H.
Yeah.
And Legion of the Lost is good. Fight the Fight, Under the Flag. I love that song. It's got a really great riff. And talk about, that's some iconic imagery there. And I like the back photo shoot they did. Kind of looks hot and evil. Yeah, I mean this album.
Weird Halloween scarecrow fella.
Yeah,
it's almost like running wild, sort of like a running wild photo from one of their early albums.
Yeah, to me, this is other than Tunes of War. I mean, for me personally, this is my favorite Gravedigger, but it not necessarily the best or most iconic. It's to me, it's my favorite that I listen to over and over again. I'll always put this in my car rotation every few months, and I'll be like, you know what, it still sounds good all these years later. And I've been listening to this album for probably 20 years. Still sounds fresh to me. Some albums you listen to over and over again, and they kind of grow out of their phase, like a lot of Metallica stuff. So sometimes I can't even listen to Metallica anymore. But you've heard it thousands of times, and you don't want to go back to it. But this album, you listen to it hundreds of times, and like every so often you're like, you know what, I'm gonna go back to this, put it in my rotation, and blast it in my car. It's good commute music. So I love it.
Yeah.
I have it on vinyl, but I haven't. It's sealed.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I wish I had an unsealed vinyl, because I'm not willing to unseal that box set.
It's funny. Nobody ever showed this album. This is another iconic album as well.
Yeah, I kind of hear or presume it's a fan favorite, but for me, there's some skippers on there, and then there's a bunch of slower mid-pace tracks, and it's just like the pacing is bad. Although it's a good album. Like if you compare that album, like if that was another band, you'd think that's a great album. But just because Gravedigger is such a high caliber albums that for me, it didn't even come close to making my top 10. It's one of my more least favorite Gravedigger albums personally, but it's only because all the other ones are so good.
Yeah, that's true.
But if there was a fourth person on screen, for all we know, that could have been someone else's number one, Heart of Darkness.
Yeah, so that's good that we all had different number ones. So
yeah. It's like with Gravedigger. Gravedigger never became like mainstream popular, so it's not like they don't have like a distinguished Master of Puppets or a Black Album, or they don't have like a distinguished
Black Album. I would say Digger.
Right, but you know what I mean. Like in terms of popularity, like they never had like a super breakthrough. No. So when you talked about Gravedigger fans, you don't actually know. You can't guess what their number one's going to be, as opposed to if you talk to a Metallica fan, it's like, okay, you can probably guess it's going to be this album or this album. Yeah. But Gravedigger, it's kind of a toss up, and that is a cool thing.
Yeah, with 20 albums, any of the albums could be anybody's number one. Doesn't matter which album, it could be. This could be a number one, for some people, It just all depends on what your I guess that day, what mood you're in, thinking, oh yeah, this is, I listen to all my Gravedigger. Yeah, this is number one for this week, and then the next week you might change it to another album to be a number one. So just everybody has their tastes of what their number ones are going to be. So
there'll be this pummeling, heavy, crushing riff and hook, and you're just like, oh man, this song's awesome, and this album's awesome.
Yeah,
just like as Dave was saying or whatever, right?
Yeah, and that's your number one album of the week, and then you put on, say, Tunes of War on next week. Think, oh yeah, this one kicks ass. This one a little bit more better than that last album that I heard, from last week. So like
usually for me, my favorite album from a band, if they have a lot of albums in their catalog, it's like what songs mean the most to me personally, or what can I identify with. And I think on the Reaper, I can identify with some of the ideas more than on other albums, because I don't live in Scotland and I have stuff like that. But even though the songs are awesome, but I can identify more with some of the lyrics. They're more personable to me on the Reaper. So that's why I think I identify that, and I like that one more. I mean, not that it's the best Gravedigger album, but it just has meaning for me. So
yeah. Well, I like the Scottish stuff, because when I was younger, I used to live in Scotland when I was a wee lad.
So it's got personal meaning for you.
Yeah, I was like only about 2 or 3 years old back then. So, but I still sort of like that Scottish sound, because because I'm an Englishman, so England and Scotland are sort of the same, and that's what sort of inspires me to hear those Scottish type songs, history songs, about Scotland or Excalibur, or
And it's funny because the Tunes of War, when I listened to it, and I'm like, I'm not really familiar with all the history of all that. So it made me want to go back and read the history of what they're talking about in the songs. So it's like I looked up what the Bruce was and all that kind of stuff, and I looked up some of the the places that they mentioned there, and it made me kind of learn the history a little bit better, and maybe more identify with it more.
Did you watch Braveheart after you listened to the album?
I don't really like Mel Gibson, so no. I'm not a Mel Gibson fan.
I thought you might have watched Braveheart while listening to Tunes of War.
No, I probably should though, just for
Yeah, just turn the sound down and just play Tunes of War album over the
Yeah, I know it's a classic movie.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, listening to some of their albums, especially when they talk about the history of certain places, and it makes me want to go back and read about it and be more familiar with what they're singing about.
Oh yeah, it's like a history lesson, people who don't know about it, like you said, you go and look at these old books, and you read the history of what happened back in that time of Scottish history, and you learn something. So then when you go to one of these quiz shows, and they talk about Scotland's early history, oh yeah, that's a Gravedigger song. I know that where that song comes from. Or
actually that happened a few questions on Jeopardy. I was like, I knew it because I know it from a heavy metal song. I knew what they were talking about because I looked it up. Yeah, it's happened a couple times.
And who says heavy metal isn't educational?
Nah, people don't know what they're talking about.
They're making you go back and learn history again, read again.
Oh,
I mean, I've learned so much, about music and stuff from all these bands that I listen to. That's just
because Chris is really a big ancient Scottish history. He's a big fan of that sort of stuff. And you can tell that he puts pride into what he writes with the lyrics. He reads the books. He learns the history of that that period, and he writes it down into his lyrics, and he doesn't what's that word? He doesn't plagiarize it.
Yeah.
He writes of what it really was like, But like an album like Excalibur, that's a fantasy story, But he brings it out like it was actually really, a true, thing that happened back in that period. But it wasn't. It's just like a fantasy story.
Yeah, that's why Gravedigger is so great, is because every album is kind of like a different concept, and sometimes they go back to older concepts and they expound on those concepts. So yeah. They're an awesome band, and I would tell anybody who's like on the fence about, I don't know about this band, that just listen to Tunes of War would be a good place to start.
Yeah, that's the album that I would pick to start off with. Yeah.
I mean, just historical metal. You can go back.
We all also did choose Return of the Reaper. We all chose Return of the Reaper, so that would be an essential one, clearly.
Yeah, I would love to see Gravedigger live. I really would love to see them.
Me too. They're one of my bucket bands, but they never really come to the US as far as I know.
No, and here in Australia as well, I don't think they're that, sort of huge to come to Australia, like do those big open festivals. If they come, they'll be in a sort of like a club sort of thing.
Those are my favorite shows. I'd love to see them in a club.
Yeah, but I don't think Australia will ever see Gravedigger come to Australia.
They won't come here
unless it's if there's a big, huge metal festival. Somebody puts a metal festival and brings Gravedigger to Australia. Yeah, I would love to see them live. I've seen them on DVD live, and it looks great. The shows look great, full of energy. With special guests like when Doro comes on and Udo and So yeah. So if Gravedigger, if you're watching this, please come to Australia.
They're awesome.
Even if it's a club gig, I would love to see. It'd be awesome to see them live. Yeah.
Yeah, they're an awesome band. Just amazing band.
Yeah, like David mentioned earlier, bagpipes and metal just go so good together.
Yeah.
Like,
it does.
Yeah, I find myself, I like a lot of those albums that do kind of center around the Scottish and Irish themes and bagpipes, when they have some bagpipe sounds in some of the songs. But yeah, I find myself like where Tunes of War, The Clans Will Rise Again are all like in my top favorite albums. Fields of Blood's great, one of the newest one, but I like all those albums a lot, all the Scottish and Irish themed ones.
I'd love to see Gravedigger do put some jazz fusion into their sound as well. Bit of trumpets or something, into one of their songs. Especially like when they do those sort of Mexican type themes. Like that Day of the Dead sort of, sort of type of songs. I'd love to hear a lot of bit of more Mexican sort of influence put in there as well with the trumpets and I think that'd be kind of interesting to see what they would do if they did that.
I think they should do an orchestral album. I think that would be amazing. Have these big sweeping orchestras in there.
Yeah, it would work if Metallica could do it, if Therion could do it. Why not Gravedigger? Like that Rheingold album that you showed before, David, would be great as an orchestra. Would you agree?
Well, yeah. What they could do is they could substitute the synth parts for orchestral parts with the strings and woodwinds and stuff, and I think it would work if they took out the synth part, because the synth part kind of fills in the area where the guitars and the drums and the bass aren't. So you have to. What Metallica did, it kind of bothered me, their S&M, because it's like the strings parts, they kind of just mimic the guitar parts, and I'm like, this didn't really do anything for me. The S&M didn't do anything for me, and the S&M 2 I didn't even listen to. But there's some bands that have done the orchestral parts where the strings don't copy the guitar riffs or the bass riffs. They kind of do their own separate thing. They augment the harmonies.
Yeah, you probably like with Therion when they did their orchestra, with the orchestra.
So yeah, Therion is amazing.
Udo did heavy metal Navy Night, or heavy metal Navy Night, or something like that.
Yeah, I think even Doro did something too with classical music as well. So there are bands that can do it, and I think Gravedigger, would be awesome with an orchestra back, behind them, and they're playing their metal, and with the strings and the choirs, it'd be an awesome. Even be an awesome gig as well. Concert with an orchestra.
I'd like to see,
especially if they could like get a lot of the cultural stuff in there, like the cultural motifs in there, it would just sound so cool.
Yeah, it would. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't do an album like that. It's probably on Chris's mind. He's probably thinking about it. I'd love to do this album as a classical metal.
Yeah, because they wouldn't have to write new songs. They could just redo some of their old songs and just dress them up. I would buy it.
Yeah. Well, look at I think Celtic Frost, Triptychon, when they did their orchestral stuff as well, which was great. All the
Yeah,
classical
that thing was
music.
awesome.
So yeah, great. Why can't Gravedigger do it? It'd be just put it on vinyl, DVD. Do a box set. Like what Triptychon did. It would go well.
Yeah,
People would.
awesome.
So, Chris, if you're watching this, you got two people who want a classical metal album with orchestra.
Be great.
I'm fine with whatever, as long as it's heavy metal. If he does just want to do a pure symphonic kind of classical non-metal album, it could be okay. I'd check it out. Actually, I was going to say briefly is on some of the live clips and live concerts I've seen from them is there's very brief times when he actually sings, like with a singing voice. He can actually sing with a singing voice. He doesn't do it very often. I don't think he does it on any albums. He does it just like on a couple, like one time on like on during the live set. He does a part where anyway, and one of the DVDs he did has a just a brief part where he actually sings for a couple seconds. I was like, whoa, I've never actually heard him sing. It's crazy. So I don't doubt it. If he wanted to do a non-symphonic classical album, I don't doubt that he can actually sing. So
yeah. So we'll wait and see what happens. If it does come about, on future releases.
I'd like to produce it actually.
yeah.
Or just maybe I can just write the liner notes.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Okay, Chris, at your challenge, if you're watching this on a stream, we want a heavy metal classical Gravedigger album with strings, choirs, a huge, brilliant backstage setting, with dragons
And I also want a double disc Digger release, Stronger Than Ever, with bonus tracks and
yes,
demo.
I would love to hear their demos I would love to see their demos get reissued on vinyl to see what they were like way back before they got signed to Noise Records. What their sound was like, if it was a bit more darker or like a more satanic sort of, maybe. Who knows? So, Chris, that's your challenge and that's your homework. We want all this stuff coming out from you guys.
He's getting pretty old, actually. He's probably in his 60s.
Well, Udo's in his 70s, and he's still kicking ass on stage. So yeah. But Chris's voice has never changed. It's always been that same, sort of tone. It's never. It's gruffy. His voice is gruffy, but it's but it's a great voice. Nobody sounds like Chris or Udo. So, which is great. I love the vocals. I love their style. They're a band that's going to be kicking for the next, maybe 5, 6, 7 more albums. We'll probably get out of them.
Yeah, between all their albums, Gravedigger in one way or another is always in the rotation, whether, rotating between all 20 albums, rotating them all, play one a week or whatever. But yeah, Gravedigger is always in between these play piles, playlists. They're always in the middle of something. Always Gravedigger, Running Wild, Rage, Saxon, Udo. There are mainstays that are always rotating between the large discographies, right? There's so much to choose from, and I never just stick with the same 1 or 2 albums. The popular 1 or 2 albums. I'm always trying to rotate, but yeah, Gravedigger between the 3 of us there. I did my 10. Frederick did his 10, David did his 10, but I'd say between our 10 each, that we've shown 30, although there was some lots of overlaps, but between all the albums we showed, I'd be safe to say, this is the essential Gravedigger albums. This is the essentials.
Yeah, and then when we do a part 3, we'll be doing the top 30 Gravedigger albums.
I'd say if you didn't see the Gravedigger cover on the show tonight, it's probably not essential, or it's probably good, but it's just probably not essential. And the other ones that we did show are essential. But either way, these are the essential Gravedigger lists, albums. So check it out. If you've made it this far, you probably already know Gravedigger. You're just watching it for fan entertainment perspective, or maybe if you heard about Gravedigger and ended up watching it just for curiosity, and maybe wanted to get a Gravedigger and wanted to know which is the best album. Well, my number 1 was Return of the Reaper, and
Witch Hunter.
Witch Hunter, and David's was
The Reaper.
The Reaper.
The Reaper. So those are the individual essentials from each of us. So there we go. We should wrap up the show. We'll all say our goodbyes and get out of here. So if you guys want to wave and say goodbye or whatever.
Yeah. Thank you very much, guys, for watching. Please leave a comment on this video. We'd love to see what your top 10 Gravedigger albums were.
Yeah, or even just your number 1. But cool. Thanks for watching. Thanks for all the guests for showing up. And subscribe, peace, love, rock and roll, all that kind of good stuff.